Everybody, it's Thursday night, and Rebecca and I are having a discussion about that new music that I was just using. It's either a 70s cop show or was that the porn music right before the good stuff starts happening? What do you guys think? I'd like to know in the comments. Hi, everybody. I'm Walter, your travel advisor and music critic as well, along with my wife, Rebecca, who's sitting over here as always. We are Where's Walter Travel. We are independent travel advisors, and we book people on cruises and land tours and all kinds of fun stuff all over the world. So thank you for joining us tonight. Typically, we have interviews going on Thursday night, but this week it is a quiet week, so it's just me and Rebecca. And we thought we'd take some time to talk about hurricanes, cruises, or other forms of travel, and travel insurance, because we just had Idalia come through. And we were fortunate. We live in Orlando, so the storm went well north of us. We got a bunch of rain, we got a bunch of wind, but in terms of a storm, we really didn't get much of anything. So our thoughts go to all those people out there in the Big Bend area where the storm actually came in. I hope everybody was okay out there. And if anybody's watching who was out there, I hope everything went well. My goodness, we've got Christy's here. Sherry from Boston. Hi, Sherry. Sherry's going on the Norwegian Pearl tomorrow. I'm so excited. Actually, this is a really cool one because Stacy and Bill are getting off the Norwegian Pearl, and then you guys are getting on the Norwegian Pearl. This is so fun. I don't know that we've ever had clients like leaving and going on the ship at the same time. So this is so awesome. Who else we got? We got Stephen. Hi, Stephen from New Jersey. How are you, Stephen? Good to see you. Fred. Good to see you. How you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. I got Norma and we got Nurse. We got Cindy. Cindy, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, wait, you're going on your cruise too. Yay, you're driving to Galveston tomorrow. Man, we got all kinds of clients going out on cruises now, don't we? So exciting. I can tell you're excited. I'm just excited. I'm so excited. Oh, there was big news today. And apparently it wasn't supposed to come out because it immediately disappeared and we can't find it anymore. Virgin Voyages announced, well, they announced a couple of things. Apparently they didn't announce them because we weren't supposed to know about them. But a story leaked that Virgin is going to be going back to Portsmouth in the UK, which is where they launched originally with Scarlet Lady. It didn't say which ship it's going to be, but it said they were coming back, and it hinted that Norway and Iceland could be in the itineraries coming out. Now, I posted a link to it, and literally within minutes, the link stopped working. I don't think it was supposed to be posted. But we do know that on September 7th, Virgin Voyages will be releasing their new itineraries. We have been waiting about 2 months for these new itineraries to come out from Virgin Voyages. Supposedly, they said it in that article that was quickly pulled down that September 7th, we should be ready for a lot of surprises. One of which we hope is not, that the Brilliant Lady may or may not launch on time. We're still waiting to find out. Becky, how are you? And you're sitting on the Grand Princess in Alaska. Hello, Alaska. Hey, thanks so much for joining in. That's so exciting. I love it. I love it. Oh, my goodness. The Grand Princess in Alaska. What an amazing journey you guys are having. But yeah, so there are rumors running out there that possibly Valiant Lady is not quite going to be ready for her launch. And some other ships might be moved around. We don't know. We're not given any information, and our reps aren't talking about it right now, obviously. They can't share any information with us that is not already public with Virgin Voyages, so we'll just have to wait. So September 7th, let's tune in. It should be fun. We should find out what the rest of 2024 is going to be, and hopefully into 2025. Will the Brilliant Lady be going through the Panama Canal? I saw a picture of her today. You can clearly see how the aft was completely squared up. So she can go, you can't have those flared afts and go through the Panama Canal. Everything's got to be nice and square to get through the Panama Canal. So she will be definitely Panama Canal ready. So it's going to be very interesting. Joe, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you guys had a great honeymoon down in wherever it was we sent you. I know we sent you somewhere in the Caribbean. I can't keep all those islands straight, but I hope you had a good one. I really do. And thank you guys so much for joining in. I know it's a Thursday night. We really do appreciate you coming in. So, Rebecca, I know you were taking a look. Is there any lingering effects right now from Idalia?
No, all the ports that had closed have reopened.
Good.
The airports, there's like, I think Tallahassee and Gainesville might still have some airport issues.
The regional airports.
But those are not major airports. So,
right.
But Port Canaveral closed. Well, it closed, I guess, Tuesday. It reopened 3 p.m. Wednesday, 18 hours after it closed.
Wow.
So it didn't stay closed long.
That's good.
Jacksonville closed 8 p.m. Tuesday and reopened 10 a.m. Thursday. The Carnival Elation was delayed by several hours.
Wasn't delayed by a whole day. I mean, when you're on that ship, you're like, delay, stay out of sea, stay out of sea, stay out of sea. Yeah.
And then Port Tampa Bay reopened 5:45 Thursday, which is today, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Today.
Today's Thursday.
It had closed on Tuesday. The Carnival Paradise and the Serenade of the Seas were delayed because of the closure. They were scheduled to return today, this morning. So gotcha. I don't know how that all worked out, but
gotcha. So there you go. So everything is up and operational. And one thing that a lot of folks may not realize, once the storm moves through, they're like, okay, let's reopen the ports. They can't just reopen the ports. They actually have to inspect the channel and just make sure that, like, nothing's shifted, because those channels are shallow. They're very shallow, and they can be very narrow. And some of them, like, literally, you've got just enough room to get the ship in. Ship can't drift left or right. So they actually have to do an inspection of the channel before they can open everything. And that can take hours and hours, depending on, like, Miami. Forget it. That's going to take a long time. And even Port Canaveral, now that it's so busy. So that's one of the reasons why, like, you'll see a storm go and the port's still not open. The port may not open until the next day, because there's all these safety checks and everything that they have to do just to make sure there's nothing in the water that the ships are going to hit, or nothing on the channel shifted that suddenly a ship's going to get stuck. So that's one of the reasons why it can take so long. Joe is saying Tony from Lolita Loca was delayed getting back to port on his cruise. Yeah, they went out of Tampa, I'm pretty sure. What ship were they on? They were on
well, the two that got delayed were the Carnival Paradise and Serenade of the Seas.
I think so. They were on the Carnival, so I guess they were on the Carnival Paradise. I think it was. I think it was their first ship or something like that they were going out on, or something like that. That was pretty cool. The two, it's been so long since the two of them actually got out on a ship together. It was nice to see Tony and Jenny get on a ship together again. Tony's been doing so many solos. So Jenny is amazing. She is also a travel agent. She is absolutely amazing. Yeah, Becky's saying, their car is parked at the port.
Well, Tampa wasn't badly affected. So I wouldn't imagine, especially if they have covered parking, they should be good.
Yeah, Tampa got lucky because, the early on there, and even pretty close, it was looking like Tampa was going to get a direct hit, and then it kind of wobbled left a little bit, which was good. It stayed out, and then it swung in, not good for everybody else. But Tampa Bay could have taken a direct hit, and that would have been bad. They probably, if it had taken a direct hit, there's every possibility that those ships could have been redirected down to Fort Lauderdale or Miami. That's the thing that they really, I've seen some people post, well, why don't they just send the ship into another port so they can just get everybody off the ship? Just because of the logistics. Like you just mentioned, Tony's car is in Tampa. How many cars are in Tampa? How many people have logistics all set up there? Plus, the ships have everything there. Like they have a system, right? So everything that the Carnival Paradise needs, it's all set up there. They already know what's coming. So
yeah, all the orders for the new food, the new drinks, all that's waiting
right there
for them.
And if we just take everybody down to Miami, we just dump them off. Now we got to get them all up to Tampa to go get their stuff or do all of that. So cruise lines would much rather just hold the ship out in the ocean for a day or two, and then just bring them on in, so at least they can maintain that sense of order and all that logistics. Because it is a lot when you have to take a ship and just go somewhere else.
And the other Florida ports are busy in and of themselves.
They're busy in and of themselves. And I mean, they'll make it work if they have to, but that's a last resort. That's like, Tampa Bay took a direct hit and they just can't come in. Then obviously they're going to go somewhere else. But they will do everything in their power to bring the ship back to its home port, so everybody can get their cars, everybody can do what they need to do, and the cruise ship operations can run like normal because everything is all set up there. So it really is amazing. There's this big snowball effect that just one little thing, let's just send the ship over here. It sounds so easy. It's not so easy when you've got a couple thousand people who, maybe 500 of them all have their cars sitting up in Tampa and got to go get them. We haven't sailed out of Tampa yet. I really want to. There are Celebrity has their Millennium class of sails out of Tampa. We've actually sent some clients out. In fact, I think we've got some clients going out on one of the Norwegian ships very shortly as well out of Tampa. And Tampa, to my knowledge, is the only port in Florida that has prepaid parking. I don't know of any of the other ones that actually have prepaid parking where you can reserve your parking in advance.
I don't know much about the port of Jacksonville because that's relatively I think maybe only Carnival goes out of there.
Yeah, Carnival does a lot of small ports that nobody else does. Yeah.
But so I don't know about there, but certainly not the big three.
Yeah. So that is one of the interesting things there. So I don't see any comment about the music. I'm kind of disappointed by that, I will say. Oh my goodness gracious! So one of the things that I thought we'd talk about today is the hurricane situation and how do hurricanes affect the whole cruising operation, because we cruise all the time during hurricane season. I mean, our anniversary is in September, basically right in the middle of hurricane season. Back in 2019, was it 18? Celebrity? Whenever Hurricane Irma was, that was like 18, 19. We sailed during Hurricane Irma, which was a massive Cat 5. She came all the way across the Caribbean, went right through St. Thomas and Barbuda and all of that. And in fact, we left Miami 3 days before the hurricane hit St. Thomas. And that was our first stop, actually. We were supposed to go from Miami and do 2 sea days. And on the 3rd day, we would be in St. Thomas. Well, of course, they're not going to send a cruise ship directly into a hurricane. So what we did was we just went straight south, got on the ship, and we just went straight for 2 days. We went straight south, and we went down to Curacao, and we're nowhere near the storm.
Which was not on our original itinerary.
Yeah, Curacao was not on our itinerary. It happened to have an open, and that's the thing too, do they have an open slot for us to come in? If they didn't have an open slot for us, then they would have just gone down there, and we would have just had another sea day and figured it out from there. And while we were in Curacao, they figured out the rest of the itinerary, and we ended up hitting all of our stops except 2, and that was mainly because they got damaged. We couldn't go. I think it was St. Martin
and St. Thomas.
And St. Thomas. We couldn't go in just because of the damage.
And we did get added. Martinique was added.
Yeah, Martinique was added as well. So
and the other ones happened just in a different order.
And what was amazing was, the captain came out every single day, every morning at about 10 or 11, gave us a full hurricane update. This is where the storm is. This is where we are. This is what we're going to do. Just, just basically kept us up to date with everything that was going on. And we knew when we got on the ship, look, we don't know what we're doing. We know we're getting on a ship. We know we're going to be on here for 10 or 11 days. We just don't know where we're going. And that's what you have to be prepared for with the hurricane season. As long as the hurricane is not going to impact the actual home port, like we just had Tampa Bay, that is a direct impact on the home port. When the home port is impacted, that's when either the ship's going to be late coming in, you're going to be late going out on the next cruise, or the airports are going to be closed, so you can't even get there even if you wanted to. It looked to me like Miami, Fort Lauderdale actually never even stopped operations. I think they just maintained operation.
Yeah, Miami and Port Everglades were not impacted at all.
So that's when you get impacted with a hurricane and a cruise, is when the hurricane is actually going to hit the home port. If the hurricane is not impacting the home port, if it's out in the ocean somewhere, or it's impacting, the Western Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean, and it has no impact on your home port, your cruise is still going to sail. Now, you may not get the cruise that you thought you were. Your Eastern Caribbean, if that's where the hurricane is, it's going to turn into a Western Caribbean. Your Western Caribbean, if that's where the hurricane is, it's going to turn into an Eastern Caribbean. And you may not have that many port stops because everything is starting to get so crowded. We have so many ships out there now, even just in the Caribbean, that it's not guaranteed that, we can't go to St. Thomas, so we'll just go to St. Martin. Well, St. Martin might be full. And there may not be any port that can handle the size of a ship that you have right now. You just may end up with a bunch of sea days out there. You just kind of got to roll with it. For us, it's kind of like we're on a ship. We got food, we got drinks, we got entertainment, we got an amazing crew taking care of us. I don't really care where the ship goes the moment I get on it. That's just me. But hey, Nurse Tara, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, everybody, for joining in tonight. And so that is the biggest impact with the hurricanes generally, is your entire itinerary may change, and you just have to roll with it. I always tell folks, if a certain stop is like paramount on your cruise, if you don't go to this place, if I don't go to Grand Cayman and swim with the stingrays, it's going to ruin my entire cruise. Don't take a cruise, just fly there, just go there. So you're guaranteed you're going to go to Grand Cayman, because even on a nice great cruise, you might have 40-knot winds when you're coming into Grand Cayman, so they're just going to skip it. So no port is ever guaranteed, even in good weather. No port is ever guaranteed, so you got to roll with it. But especially during hurricane season, if you know the hurricane is somewhere near your path, they generally don't like to get within 100 miles of it. So if a hurricane is anywhere near your path, just know your itinerary is probably going to change. Just roll with it. I mean, you're still on a cruise ship, still getting fed, still got entertainment, and you got an amazing crew taking care of you. So things could be worse. Things could be a lot worse. And I always remind people, ships can move, islands can't. And that is the big difference with hurricane season. If you're flying into a location and now it's threatened by a hurricane, you got to hopefully get off that island, whereas the ship will just simply veer and change course. So that's one of the big things we're keeping on there. Norma, the issue with a ship sailing through a hurricane, those with motion sickness are not going. So the thing about that, and like I said, they try to stay about 100 miles away. And they can't always do that, especially like if they're trying to make it back to home port and they kind of got to skirt it to get there. It could be a little bit rough. It could be, it could be a little bit rough, but we were on the Norwegian Escape, our first cruise after the pandemic. It was just beautiful, sunshiny weather, but there were just these big rolling swells. The ship was just gently rocking left to right. It wasn't like it was big weather or anything, but the waves were parallel to us, and it was just the direction that the ship was going. And so the waves were just gently rocking us back and forth for 2 days. And they had the bark bags out there, but we had no bad weather whatsoever. It's just, I don't know where the swells were coming from, but it was just and they weren't even white caps. It was just nice, big rolling waves. So yeah, so it is interesting. And of course, if you have any tendency towards motion sickness, obviously think about the wristbands. Stephanie, our dear friend Stephanie Mullen. Stephanie, if you're watching, congratulations. We're so excited for you. But wristbands, ginger is always good. It's recommended. Now the crew recommends green apples, but I've seen some comments on some of our, in fact, I think Stephanie even said the green apples don't work for her. And the only advice I would say is about those patches, which you see a lot of people wearing those patches. It's just go to your doctor. Check with your doctor first, because there are side effects with them. And you just want to make sure that, like, especially if you're taking some medication or you're predisposed to something, that the patches are not going to cause any issue, because that would really suck, if it actually made you feel worse than feel better. So, hey, Aaron, how are you? Aaron is saying being stuck on a ship at sea would be great. I'll tell you what, we were just hoping. So on that same celebrity cruise, we're coming back towards Port Miami, and Port Miami is closed. And I'm like, stay closed. Stay close, stay close. And it opened up like 12 hours before we were due to come in. It was like, dang it. We almost had it. But Port Miami was closed for a while, because that hurricane did actually come in, and it pretty much, it didn't destroy Port Miami, but it came close enough that it shook a lot of things up. And that port was closed for, I think, 2 or 3 days after the storm came through. So luckily, no loss of life in that area. But yeah, so we call it free cruising, There have been times where there have been like literally circles of ships just like out away from the storm, and the ships are just kind of circling. And people used to tell stories like they would wake up and just look to see, are all the ships here, or did a ship leave? When the storms came in. So that sailing during hurricane season, it's not that big a deal going on cruises. It's just when your home port gets impacted, that kind of screws everything up. Like Tampa got kind of screwed up. But of course, that pales in comparison to what happened to folks over on the Big Bend. So I hope everybody's okay over there. Which leads me to my next thing, which is travel insurance, right? A lot of people just are still, I have a lot of clients still who just pass on the travel insurance. Travel insurance is so important, especially going on a cruise. And it does two things. does two things for you. Everybody knows, number one, if you get the right insurance, it will pay you back if you have to cancel. Now, if a cruise line cancels something, then you're automatically going to get a refund. But if that cruise is going to sail and you can't get to the cruise because the airport is closed and you booked that flight by yourself, that's on you. You need to get to the cruise. The cruise line doesn't owe you a refund if you can't fly to the airport. Now, they might work with you, hopefully they would. Hopefully they would say, well, we'll give you a credit and you can get on another ship later, but they're not obligated to do that. So keep that in mind. You might say, well, the weather didn't let me get there. Well, I don't want to be rude, but that's not really the cruise line problem. The cruise line's like, well, the ship went out. We were able to sail, so you should have been there. And so that's where travel insurance comes in big, because that will go ahead and pay you back, especially if you're not going to get a refund. Basically, once you hit, so the way the cruise lines work, when you get to final payment, you are due back 50% generally of your cruise fare at that point. And then when you get to the next stage, like a month later, you're due back like 25% of your fare. And then when you get within a month of the cruise, you're due back 0. So that last month, you're due back nothing from the cruise line whatsoever. They now have all of your money. And unless you have travel insurance, there's no way for you to get it back unless the cruise line cancels the cruise. Now, keep in mind, none of the cruises that went out of Tampa were canceled. It might have been shortened, but they weren't canceled. So you were still obligated to get yourself to Tampa to get on those ships, because cruise lines don't control the airlines. They're like, we don't control the airlines. So that's your obligation to get yourself to the terminal if we're going to have a ship there waiting for you. Now, of course, if cruises are shortened, you're going to get a refund on the days that you're not going to go. But you've got to protect yourself, in that event, because Tampa Bay Airport was closed. And if you didn't have a way to get to Tampa Bay Airport, or maybe get yourself over to Orlando, I never even did look. I think Orlando did close for a short time.
I didn't see that. I did see Tampa did close. It reopened Wednesday to incoming flights, and then full operations 3 a.m. today.
There you go. So that was today. Yeah. So it is your obligation to get in. So you definitely want to have travel insurance. And people ask me all the time, what's the difference between the cruise line travel insurance and getting independent travel insurance? For the most part, and this is a big generality, but for the most part, cruise line travel insurance is geared towards paying you back if you have to cancel, like giving you a refund. And it's not cancel for any reason at all. There are terms and conditions as to why you can cancel. That's what that insurance is really aimed towards. The actual medical coverage, if something happens to you on the ship, you hurt yourself, or the cruise gets interrupted or canceled during the cruise, it's not, well, I will say it's better for that trip interruption. It's mainly that medical. If you get injured, you get sick, and you've got to get medical attention on the ship, and God forbid, you've got to be medically evacuated off the ship, taken to a hospital, and all of that. That's where cruise line insurance is very weak. I've seen it where maybe it's like around $10,000 of medical coverage. You might say, well, that's a lot of medical coverage. It's not. It's real, especially in an emergency situation. So first of all, getting treated on the cruise ship, you could burn through $5,000 right there, just getting treated on the cruise ship. It's very expensive. They have amazing medical facilities. They basically have a full hospital on the ship, but it's very expensive to get treated on the ship. We know, because Rebecca, she slipped one day. It was actually the cruise line's fault. It was a wet spot. They saw, they actually, they had the video cameras, everything. They saw it and they covered it. But we saw, like, the x-ray was like $750 or $800 just for one x-ray of her ankle, just to make sure that she didn't do anything. She just ended up twisting her ankle. So God forbid she actually had to have something done on the ship. Oh my goodness, it's so freaking expensive. Nurse Tara, sorry, off topic, but why did Disney delay the release of a new ship? They didn't delay the release of a new ship at all. What they delayed was the reveal of the ship. So they're going to start revealing more aspects of the Disney treasure. Nurse Tara is talking about yesterday, the Disney treasure, Disney Parks was going to reveal Disney treasure, or was it Tuesday? Yesterday. God, I can't even remember, but yeah, it was yesterday. But they actually postponed it because of the hurricane. They obviously didn't feel it was appropriate to be celebrating a new cruise ship while Florida was getting hit with a hurricane. So they're going to do the reveal next Tuesday. But they haven't delayed the ship at all. In fact, we don't even know when it's coming out. It's not even on sale yet. But what they did delay, which is simply the virtual reveal. And by the way, if you want to join us on our TikTok channel next Tuesday, now it is at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Disney is going to do the reveal at 11 a.m. I'm going to be live on TikTok. We're just going to have a little watch party, just reacting to it. I'll have it on the screen behind me, but we're just going to have a little watch party. So if you want to join us next Tuesday, if you're not doing anything, come on over to our TikTok channel. I'll just be making faces and going, oh, things like that. I'm practicing. What? Holy cow. You see that? I'm just practicing. What do you think? Good? No? No? Okay. Nothing. I can't get anything. Okay. But so the independent travel insurance is really good when you get the right traveler. Now, not all independent travel insurance is created equal. You get good travel insurance, it takes care of if you have to cancel, you get a refund, and if you get hurt or something happens. So our primary travel insurance partner is Allianz Global. We actually use Allianz Global. Now, we've been cruising almost 20 years. Have we taken a cruise without travel insurance?
No.
No. 20 years we've been cruising. We've never taken a cruise without travel insurance. We've never used it, but we've never taken a cruise without it. So at least we know it's there. And so with Allianz Global, in fact, I've got 3 actual policies here for clients. And what we usually recommend is $50,000 in medical coverage. That's per person. That's $50,000. You know, again, if something happens, you don't want to have just enough insurance. You want to have like so much that you'll never get there. And then we have $500,000 in what's called medical evacuation per person. Now, medical evacuation, what you have to remember, that is basically to get you back to the United States from wherever you are. Because remember, when you're cruising in the Caribbean, you are going to other countries. So your US-based healthcare plan probably is not going to work if something happened to you in Jamaica or something happened to you in St. Thomas.
US plans that
St.
work
Martin's.
outside the US.
Yeah. So when you're outside the country, if you've got the best medical coverage in the world, it may not mean anything when you're outside the US. So you want to get yourself back to the US as quickly as possible. That's medical evacuation. And keep in what? And
that also covers if, you know, the ultimate bad thing happens and one of your party passes away, that evacuation will recover the return of remains.
Yeah, return of remains, which, you know, nobody wants to think about that. But so that $500,000 is medical evacuation. And keep in mind, you know, depending on what kind of a medical emergency you have, they don't just put you on a jet and say, hey, get on a commercial flight and go home. If like you need medical attention during the flight, you are going to be on a medical ambulance, you know, on an air ambulance. Those are expensive. I've told the story before about a poor woman in Jamaica. She was let off a Carnival ship, and she had asthma and she got pneumonia during the cruise. So the ship did everything they could, and then they decided that, look, we've got to let you off in Jamaica. You need to get to a hospital. So they let her into a hospital. She had no travel insurance. And the husband looked into getting a flight home, and it was $40,000 from Jamaica to get the family back home so she could be treated in the US. So they had no travel insurance. And she was scheduled to stay in that hospital. They estimated up to 20 days because she had to get her oxygen levels back up before they'd let her get onto a jet. So that's scary. That is really scary. Aaron is asking about Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, we're not entirely sure if that does come into play or not.
It would probably depend on your particular coverage.
Because you will notice, like a lot of them will stay like within the contiguous United States, which means all the states that are together.
The 50 states. They'll cover Alaska and Hawaii.
Right. So we don't know. I mean, that's a good question.
I don't know about territories.
That is going to be 100% in the nitty gritty of the terms and conditions of the policy. And that's a great point to bring up. It's like, you know, not all policies are created equal. You do need to read the nitty gritty. And like, you know, we just had a client, and this is, you know, the ultimate thing that you never want to have happen. But we just had a client. He had a Panama Canal cruise schedule. He's going to go from Seattle to New Orleans. What a great cruise. I mean, a fabulous cruise. You know, the ship was leaving Alaska. Basically, it's doing the whole Alaska season. It's supposed to sail, I think, in about 3 weeks. And last week I got a call from his son. He's been in the hospital with a medical condition. And the doctor has now said, you are not going to be traveling for a while. So even though he feels like he could go on the cruise, the doctor's like, no, you cannot go on that ship. We are only about 4 weeks away from the cruise. So we are well past, any refund due, anything due for him. But he had Allianz Global travel insurance that we sold for him. And so his cruise was $3,600. And the penalty for canceling that late, actually, we were just outside the final month. We hadn't hit the final month yet. We had like 3 days before we hit the final month. So he got out of that 3,600, he got about, I want to say like 1,400 back from, no, he got 1,500 as a penalty. And then the rest of that was kept by, no, he got 1,500 back. And then the rest of that was kept by the cruise line. So he had to file a claim. And Allianz Global literally contacted me the very next day. So this is 2 days after we cancel. He files a claim. 2 days later, I've got Allianz on the phone with me, confirming the details of the booking, confirming that he canceled. Do you have the paperwork? Blah, blah, blah. Send all that off to him, all that off to Allianz, and boom, the claim is well underway. And he paid a total of $265 for that insurance. So for $265, he now is going to get all of his $3,600 back, or at least he should be. I haven't heard the follow-up, but he should be getting all of his $3,600 back between what he got back from the cruise line and the claim that he made with Allianz Insurance. And that's only $265. It's not like it's super expensive. Fred is asking, are we going to do the chat on YouTube also? No, we're just going to do it on TikTok. We're not going to do that dual stream thing. We're just going to do it on TikTok. It's just a little fun, goofy thing. So that will just be on TikTok. Now, the second part of the question is, do I think Virgin will ever go out of New York, New Jersey? I think yes. If you recall, during the initial tour, they did finally stop in New York, and that was part of the deal. They came across from England, they stopped in New York, had a little party, brought it down to Florida. I would think that there would be at least, maybe 3 or 4 sailings out of New York at some given time, especially now that we're going to have 4 ships. So yeah, I would think it would. I have no inside knowledge of when that might happen. I think 2024, we're going to see, at least from that leak, we might see some Norway and some Iceland get thrown in, which would be kind of cool. I don't know what we're going to see with the whole San Juan situation. There's some rumors that things may change with San Juan. We're waiting to hear. I hope not. I did actually see a picture of the Brilliant Lady today. Somebody posted a picture actually on August 7th on Instagram, and it's the aft, and you can really see. So on these ships, well, yeah, you can kind of see the flare. Well, actually, the flare is backwards on this one. But on the actual ship, they kind of flare out on the aft just a little bit. And this one, the Brilliant Lady, you can see she just completely squared up. And they have to be square to be able to go through the Panama Canal. So she's definitely ready for the Panama Canal. It's just, I don't know if it's supply chain issues or what it is, but it kind of sounds like that whole supply chain thing where maybe the ship's going to be ready to go. I think December 30th is the date she's supposed to sail from Miami. But what we just have to wait and see until September 7th. But I would be surprised if they don't do at least some sailing. You won't see a full season out of New York, I don't think. It might be the kind of thing where maybe she's going to do a transatlantic. They'll have one of the ships do a transatlantic. They'll bring her into New York, maybe do 3 or 4 cruises, and then bring her down to Florida, kind of a thing. I could totally see that happening. Or you may even see, like if it's the Brilliant Lady, that would be awesome, where they go ahead and send her through the Panama Canal, go from New York through the Panama Canal, and then come around to Los Angeles on the back end. That would be like New York to LA. That would be a pretty darn cool cruise. I think I would want to do that one for sure. So Stephen's saying one of the major problems in New York, they're running out of berth space with the number of ships and lines. I'll tell you, that is a thing, right? Isn't that amazing? New York is running out of space. That's one of the reasons why Brooklyn is suddenly a popular place. But I haven't heard the best things about the whole logistic embarkation, disembarkation in Brooklyn. So I haven't done it yet. if any of you have done the Brooklyn boarding yet. I've heard, it's not the most smoothest. It's not quite figured out yet. Of course, it's all new there, and they've got really, really big ships coming into Brooklyn. So I'm hoping that they can get all of that underway and get that squared up, because that would be really nice to see. It is kind of weird that New York is getting crowded, and here we have, Port Canaveral is the busiest port in the world, and it's like so dinky compared to what they have up in New York. I really do want to do the sail away from New York, though, because it looks spectacular, going underneath the Verrazano Bridge, seeing the Statue of Liberty as you sail out. I mean, wow, that just looks so freaking spectacular. I really want to do it. Nurse Tara would love it if Virgin Voyages came in. I'll tell you what, I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people would love to see Virgin really start spreading out. I would. There's a thread on Cruise Critic where somebody said they claimed that they were on some sort of a call, and Virgin said, oh, well, we're not going to go to LA, but we might go to Alaska. I think that's one place where you won't see Virgin Voyages ever go, is to Alaska. I mean, there's one way that they might, but in general, I don't think you'll see Virgin do an Alaska season, because Tamika was on our live about 2 months ago now, and she basically said, there's so many cruise lines out there that do Alaska really, really well. What would Virgin have to offer that they don't? And Alaska's getting really crowded. There's over 60 ships in Alaska this year, and there may be more next year. There's just a lot of ships up there. When you only have 4 ships, the only way that I could see Alaska coming into play would be a repositioning cruise. Like they make it a one-off. We're going to come out of LA. We're going to go up to Alaska. Then we're going to come down to either, the Panama Canal and go through the Panama Canal and bring her back to the Caribbean, or coming from the Caribbean, we'll go up to Alaska and then we'll come on down to LA. So I could see that like as one-off cruises, as repositioning cruises. But in terms of Virgin actually doing a season in Alaska, I don't really see that. I see a season in New York, but not up in Alaska. So New York needs to spend some money to accommodate. And again, that's just so bizarre, right? This is New York City we're talking about. You would think that they would be all set, but there is, when you come to Florida, I mean, we basically have airport terminals. That's what we have. We have big airport terminals, and everybody's building the biggest and the newest and the most beautiful. I mean, Norwegian terminal is gorgeous. Royal Caribbean terminal is gorgeous. Virgin Voyages terminal is gorgeous. MSC is building something that's going to be just ridiculous by the time it's done, right? Fort Lauderdale, Disney is renovating the one over there. Now, Fort Lauderdale needs a little help too. I mean, some of those terminals are getting old. They need to be updated as well. And then Port Canaveral is building some new ones now as well. So yeah, it would be nice to see New York catch up and do that. It would be so nice.
Well, I mean, you do have to consider that New York's been a port for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, commercial port.
Yeah.
So they haven't really had like the passenger terminals for the bigger ship.
I mean, it's, way back, it was just, it wasn't pleasure cruising. It was crossing the Atlantic. So Greg is saying that they're looking at Princess European Capitals cruise in 25. Nice. Good itinerary. When it was first posted, it was much more expensive than 24. Has seemed to drop, wondering when the best time to book normally is. Well, here's the thing. Really, anytime that you see a cruise that you want, you work with a travel agent, whether it's me or somebody else, we go ahead and book it. And then if the price dropped, if you say, hey, Walt, the price has dropped by 500, fine, I just call Princess. We get the fare readjusted for 500. So, playing these waiting games, well, I'll just wait till it drops. I'll wait till it drops. There's probably a cabin you have an eye on, or a section of the ship you have an eye on. And you keep waiting, and then that section is gone. By the time, oh, hey, the price is right, that whole section's gone. So my feeling is, when you see a cruise you really want, just book it. Just book it, and definitely work through a travel agent versus going through the cruise line. I just had somebody reach out to me today. They've got 5 cruises booked, and they're like, I can't get a hold of my personal cruise planner, or whatever they call them at the cruise line, because he wants to get rate adjustments on a few of his cruises. Like, can you help me? The answer is no, I can't help you, because those are not my bookings. I can't, if it's not my own booking with my agency, I can't do anything with the cruise line. They're going to say, oh,
the passenger needs to call in. Why are you calling us? So work with a travel advisor, whether it's me or somebody else, or work with a good one anyway. And I hope I'm a good one. I think we're a pretty good one. But that's one of the things that we can do. Now, do we keep track every single week and go, oh, hey, the price went down, we're going to call it? No, we've got a lot of clients, we've got a lot of booking. And so what I encourage my clients to do is like, hey, if you see it, or like something comes into you and said, hey, this cruise is on sale, and you don't know, well, just ask me. Just ask me, because sometimes what happens is you're like, hey, the balconies are on sale for $300 off. Well, they are the first level, but that balcony that you bought is not on sale, or it's actually gone up. But if you see something, I encourage all my clients, like, hey, come, and trust me, they do. They email me, they text me, they call me and say, hey, I think my cabin went down. And so I call into the cruise line and go, well, first I look at the booking engine and I see, yeah, I think it is. I'm not really sure. And then I call the cruise line. And if it is, yeah, we take it off. I've taken off $25 and I've taken off $800. So, even if it's just $25, hey, that's a meal on the ship. I'll get that $25 reduced off here. I don't really care. We're going to do good. So Aaron said, after watching your live with Tamika, I took her advice and did the math when comparing a Virgin sailing with another cruise line. She was right. And I know exactly what you're talking about. You are talking about all the nickel and diming, if you will, or all those, your specialty meals, your soft drink, the Wi-Fi, like everything that's included on a Virgin Voyages cruise. How much do you pay for that on another cruise line? And when you do the math, it either comes out ahead or it comes out pretty doggone close. And the quality of the food, the quality of everything on the Virgin Voyages ship, it's just really, really good. Now, is everything perfect? No, but it's all pretty doggone good. And it is nice. Rebecca and I have been on Scarlet Lady twice. We have not spent a dime on anything other than the premium drinks. And we've not paid for any food upgrades, not paid for anything because we didn't have to. So, yeah. Oh, Greg, you are so kind. I almost missed that. You're very welcome. If you don't know what the B&D cruise is, he's referring to Cruise with Ben and David. If you don't know, we are a travel partner now with Cruise and Ben and David. It's just amazing. And that is all due to our amazing friend Stephanie Mullen. You've heard me talk about Stephanie a lot. I hope all of you are subscribed to her channel because she is one of the most positive, one of the most amazing human beings on this planet. And she invited us over for dinner one time to meet her friends, and her friends were Ben and David. And if you've been following her channel since we lost Sean, you know that Ben and David have basically become like her surrogate brothers over these past couple of years. And it's been amazing to watch. And they said they wanted to do a group cruise. I think they were all on the Celebrity Beyond together. And the conversation came up, and Stephanie's like, well, Walter can take care of that for you. And so an idea was hatched. It took a while before we finally got it going. And we actually launched the group cruise 2 weeks ago. It basically sold out in one day, just everybody didn't know it. Because the list was so long, and we only had 75 cabins, and we had so many people who registered. But it was just absolutely incredible. And I could not be more honored that Ben, because, Ben and David have an amazing brand. They really do. They're amazing people. They're positive ambassadors. I love that they're honest. They're cheeky. They're fun. The Margaritaville video is still one of my favorite, but my absolute favorite really is that Christmas Marketplace series that they did. Absolutely amazing. So you're welcome, Greg. And we are now, like I said, on their page now. When you go to Ben and David's website, it says book a cruise. And if you click US and Canada, a picture of me and Rebecca will show up. We are their US travel partner, and could not be more proud. And it's just so exciting for us. It's just so cool. It's so cool to work with friends. It really is. A lot of times they're like, oh, don't go into business with friends. I digress from that. I have really, really good friends, and I'm proud to be in business. We also are the travel partner for Stephanie, and we love Stephanie to death. She's just so wonderful. She celebrated some really good news today, and we were just so honored that she shared it with us. So Stephanie, more cheers to you. So, man, I love what we do. I really do. I love what we do. I love that we can work with friends. I love that we can work with all of you. It's just such a pleasure to bring all of this to you guys. So, oh, Aaron, Oh, and their stars and prices are going up and up. I'll tell you what, the icon of the seas, if that doesn't make your eyes water when you see those prices, I mean, it is up there. Now, is it worth it? I'll tell you in January, if you have not heard, Rebecca and I were invited. We're going to be on the very first sailing of the Icon of the Seas. It's a preview sailing, January 20th through the 23rd. They're going to do a second one, the 23rd through the 26th. And then on January 27th, she will have her official maiden voyage with Ben and David. And I believe Stephanie are going to be on that cruise. So I was kind of teasing them, like, guys, I'm going to be on the ship before you do. It's going to be so amazing. You know, in some cases, yes, the prices are going up. In some cases, not so much. I mean, we have so many new ships out there right now. That's part of it. You know, whenever a new ship comes out, boom, automatically, right? That's the shiny new toy. She gets the new price. Everybody else kind of drops off. And we've just had so many ships that were just like stacked up and suddenly coming out. And we've got like around 72 or something more coming out in the next 5 years. We've got a lot of new ships coming out. That's one of the things. I think the other thing too is a lot of people forget, you know, the cruise lines were shut down bleeding for 18 months or more. And it costs a lot of money, even though the ship, you can't just let a ship sit. If you just let it sit, it's going to cost so much more to bring it back than to just keep it running. And so they kept the ships running, as you know, especially if you follow Captain Kate. You know, she was great at showing us like what the ships were doing. And yeah, they might sit in one place for a week or two, but then they've got to move. They got to, you know, they've got to run to keep everything ship shape, if you will. So it costs a lot of money for 18 months. And, you know, even though the cruise lines are doing well, they're breaking records, they're having record booking days and all this, they're still catching up for 18 months out. So I give them the benefit of the doubt when they do keep, oh, well, we're thinking about this fee. Oh, we're thinking about that little fee. You know, that little $5 adds up to a lot for them. So I think short term, a lot of people are, well, they're just doing money grabs. In a way, they sort of kind of are. They're trying to make up. But I think at some point, you're going to see it all even back out again. You know, once we get back to quote unquote normal and normal operations with the cruise line, I think you might start to see that, you know, all start to even out. But there's a lot of great deals out there right now if you don't want the shiny new toy. You know, you just go with some of the quote unquote older ships. There's a lot of good deals out there. And I love that the CEO of Royal Caribbean has hinted that maybe some small ships are in order. Yes, please take everything that you've learned from these new big ships and apply it to the small ship. That will be absolutely amazing. So yeah, Nurse Tara, I think, I don't know. I don't know that they'll necessarily go down, but I think it'll price correct.
Yeah, they'll stop rising as steeply. I think it'll kind of be more gradual.
I think that's going to be kind of it. Yeah, it'll be a little bit more gradual. Now, the one thing that absolutely flat out shocked me, and Aaron, I'll get to you in just a second, Virgin Voyages this month. Okay, they've got a promo out there, up to $900 off in the Mediterranean, $500 off in the Caribbean, and no solo supplements for those of you who are solo travelers. If you want to travel now, September and October this year, they are still doing no solo supplements in the Mediterranean. Okay, so if you just want to get on a plane, you want to go to the Mediterranean now's the time to do it. You can have a balcony for the price of one. But Virgin Voyages, for the first time that I can remember, and I've talked to other agents, they've not seen this either. The prices actually dropped from last month to this month, like literally, legitimately dropped $400 to $500. That big Ben and David group cruise that we were just talking about, and you know, you're asking about fare adjustments. We fare adjusted all of, now, not the Rockstar Suite, they're not included, but the regular cabin, you know, we had to fare adjust everybody, and that's what we do. And I did it with about 55 cabins. So you know, you're asking about, well, when should we book a cruise? Just book it anytime. You know, we booked it 2 weeks before the promo came out, and it's like, oh, well, we can't just add the promo, so we're going to have to go back in and just rebook everybody. And that's what we did. So, but Virgin Voyages right now through the end of 2024, if you want to book on Virgin Voyages, this is the month to do it. Up until September 28th, $500 off in the Caribbean, $900 off in the Mediterranean, and the bar tab is back. It was gone for like a couple of weeks. But now the bar tab has been extended all the way through to the end of 2024. The loyalty program has been extended all the way through the end of 2024. So you'll get a $300 bar tab for 6 nights or less. You get a $600 bar tab for 7 nights or more. And I think some of the best itineraries right now are the ones out of San Juan. They're going to do 7 nights out of San Juan going into the Southern Caribbean. So it's going to be absolutely amazing.
It is important to note that bar tab does not apply to the Rockstar and Mega Rockstar suites.
Not this time. They did not apply to them. But then again, they have a full-fledged bar in the cabin, which if you go back and watch my vlogs from Scarlet Lady, you will see that. So Aaron is like, what's the first thing, food, drink, activity you plan to do once you board your Valiant Lady November group cruise? So
drop off the luggage.
Yeah, so that is one of the cool things. You know, we don't start boarding till 1:30, and so the cabins are ready when we get on board. So the first thing you do is you go up to your cabin, you drop it off. Second thing you do is you come down to deck 7. You go directly out to the back. Before you before you go out the doors, you look to your left. There's a grab and go fridge sitting right there. Look for the meat and cheese tray. Grab the meat and cheese tray, then step outside, find a lovely seat, order up some tapas. I recommend the grilled octopus, and I forget what the little meat wrap is. That is so good. Rebecca goes with the polenta and goat cheese.
And the shrimp.
Yeah. Now, they have been updating the menu, so I don't know if they've updated the dock as well. It's going to be our first time on Valiant, but that is my go to get started. And one of the cool things that Virgin Voyages did, and you know, some people might think it's a little weird, but Virgin made all 4 of their ships essentially identical. And there was a method behind the madness. What they said was, when you go on a ship for the first time, you got to find everything. You got to figure out where it all is. And how many times have you been on a ship and it's like the last day and you're like, oh, I didn't know that was there. So their feeling is the first time you go on a Virgin Lady ship, you figure out where everything is. And then every time you come on after that, you know where everything is. Now you can just relax and enjoy the vacation. So even though we've not been on Valiant Lady before, she is an identical sister to the Scarlet Lady. We know right where everything is.
I don't remember things that well, so I have a vague notion as to where things are.
Yeah, you know, the good thing is Rebecca can't really get lost because there's only so far you can go. You get to the end of the ship, you got to turn around and come back and start walking the other way.
Well, the funniest part to me is that I get very confused, you know, forward and backwards.
Yeah.
But I do pretty good at remembering like if it's up or down from where I am.
Yeah.
He remembers forward and backward, but he can't remember up and down.
I don't always remember up and down. Now, there is one tricky part to the Scarlet Lady, and that's Pink Agave and Razzle Dazzle, which are down on deck 5. There's only one place to get to them. Really in the middle, you have to go down the middle elevator or the middle stairs to get down to where Razzle Dazzle and Pink Agave are. But one of the cool things is on deck 5, there are sea view cabins. And like the front half of the ship is sea view cabins, and the back half of the ship is the restaurant. So actually there's a hallway. You come out of your sea view, you walk down the hallway, you open the door, and boom, you're right there. There's Pink Agave and Razzle Dazzle right there. Now that's kind of neat. So the other thing, Aaron, that we might do is we might go do some karaoke. We've got a group of, I think, 28 people coming on that sailing. That was our first circle on Virgin Voyages. So one of the cool things, Virgin Voyages, they have what they call circles. You just need 10 cabins. They can be solos. They can be double occupancy. They can be whatever they are. And once you have those 10 cabins and you put them together into a circle, you automatically get more sailor loot. So Virgin Voyages doesn't discount the cruise. They don't do any of that stuff. It's just a very simple, straightforward group plan. The insides and the sea views are going to get $50 of sailor loot. The sea terraces are going to get $100 of sailor loot. And because I am a gold level certified first mate, I give you $100 of onboard credit. So you're going to get $200. And then the rock stars are going to get $200 of onboard credit. And once again, I'm going to give an extra $100 for that for being a gold level certified first mate. So you're going to get $300 of onboard credit. And with every 10 cabins that you put together in the group, you can get 1 cabin free. So you can bring along a friend, or you can do whatever you want. But they allow 1 cabin free. Now you got to make it past the final payment. So that's about 120 days before the cruise. Once everybody's paid up and we're past 120 days, then they will start allocating free cabins if you'd like it. So if you've got a big old group of folks that want to come on the ship, you know, you can get at least 10 cabins, or maybe you want to get 20, 30, 40. And I can help with that too. Like if you want to start putting together some group people, I can let all my folks know. And all we got to do is just get 10 cabins together, and the 11th one is free. And that's how it works. So, Norma says she's right there with you. It'll take 2 or more cruises on the same ship to remember where everything's, as long as you remember where the coffee is, where the good old fashioned is, and where the ice cream is, you're good. You're totally good. Or better yet, the gelato. If you know where the gelato is, now I'm your best friend. If you can point me to the gelato as soon as I get on the ship, I am your absolute best friend. I love that. Aaron's saying he preferred the Freedom of the Seas over Harmony, but would love an Oasis class adults only solarium on a smaller ship. Love that solarium on Harmony. So it's funny you bring that up because they were not my favorite solariums. I think Rebecca too, we love the solarium on the Celebrity Solstice class. Those are true solariums. Those are like indoor, it's closed, it's climate controlled, and it has a big pool. Like it has a legitimate pool. The only thing that like the Harmony, we were on Symphony, very similar. I wasn't a big fan because a solarium usually means closed. It usually means it closed in. It's not this thing with the glass and then you've got open. And it didn't really have a pool. It just had like a dunk tank, really, is what that thing was. So it was okay.
Well, my biggest problem with it is because it was so much glass. I mean, that's nice, but I need shade. And there was like one lounger in the whole solarium that had shade, and somebody was already sitting there.
Yeah. So that is another thing too. Rebecca likes shade. And so if when you finally get yourself on a Celebrity Solstice class, you've got to try that out. Whatchamacallit, Holland America has a nice indoor pool as well. So we're big fans of the indoor pools. There's some of the Princess ships, like Island Princess has a really nice one. That's where you have that awesome wave pool. Rebecca loves it when it's really rocky out there and the pool turns into a wave pool and she just like floats along in it. But yeah, I think the perfect Royal Caribbean ship is the Navigator class. I love the Navigator class. That's the Navigator of the Seas,
Voyager class,
Adventure of the Seas, Mariner of the Seas, Voyager of the Seas. I love that class. That's a really nice size ship. I think the Freedom class is like, okay, so we made a bigger version of that. But I love that Voyager class, and I love the Oasis class too. But it's a nice size ship. It's not too big. It's not really small. It's the first one that had the promenade. It's the first one that had the ice skating rink. And the Mariner of the Seas in particular has the bamboo bar, which is my favorite bar that Royal Caribbean has. And I know all you guys think I drink a lot. I don't. I usually have like maybe 1 or 2 drinks at night, but I like to have good drinks. I appreciate really good bars. I don't just drink for the sake of drinking. I drink because I want to have a nice cocktail. I want to have a nice experience with the bartender. Bamboo bar is fabulous. And so now on Utopia, they're bringing out that pesky parrot. I cannot wait. I'm begging my Royal Caribbean rep to let me be on the preview on that one because I want to be the first one in the pesky parrot. I just love that concept so much. Joe, I think you've got to lay off the drinks because I don't know what pazza is. I'm just kidding. Pizza. What about? We're not going to start talking about pizza now, Joe. Don't even go there, okay? Pizza is going to be a God-given right on a cruise ship. Apparently, the people have spoken because Sorrento's pizza is so bad nobody wants to pay for it. That's just. I mean, I've told you guys in the past. I was actually pinged by my Royal Caribbean rep at the time when I told everybody how bad the Sorrento's pizza was on Symphony of the Seas. She's like, "Did you have to say that out loud?" And I said, "Yeah, I did. Make better pizza. I won't say it." I mean, that's basically that. Yeah, Aaron, I tell you what, you've got to try out Celebrity. If you folks have not been on Celebrity Cruises, beautiful cruise line, really is. They have. Again, here I go with the bars again, but I like a really good drink. I don't mind paying for a drink. I don't mind paying like $14, $15 for a drink if it's a good drink. You guys saw Elliot on the Sky Princess. I want to bring Elliot home. Elliot was so amazing. He made such amazing drink. And when I pay for a drink that I really enjoy, I appreciate that. I'm okay with paying some extra money for that. But Celebrity, world-class bar on the Solstice class. They only make like 10 or 12 drinks. They have a specific menu. They will not make anything else. They don't serve beer. They don't serve wine. It's just those 12 drinks, and they do them really well. And those drinks take like 5 to 10 minutes to make. Yeah, like they do all the crafting, the ice, and all this. Oh man, they're so good. They're really, really good. So they're really enjoyable. Wow, we've been going for an hour now, and that's usually how long we do our Thursday nights. We try to keep them a little bit shorter. So if you guys have any, last minute questions that you want to throw out there, I'll be happy to answer them. But of course, let me just remind you, our services are 100% free, but you're priceless. You're priceless. Our memories. You're priceless. Our memories. Just blow the tag, Wally. Your memories are priceless. There we go. You know what I was trying to say. You see it on the text. It's there. There it is. It's right there. Okay. if there's anything we can do, I'm much better as a travel agent than I am trying to read things on text. Trust me. But if there's anything that we can do for you guys, would you travel? We are full service. Most, we talk about cruising all the time, but we are full service. We're sending people on land tours. We've got folks going to Portugal, going over to Europe. We're sending people down to the Caribbean. So, and actually
Disney World.
Yeah, we got 13 now. We got a family of 13 that we're going to send to Disney World next year. Oh my goodness, that's going to be amazing. So we are full service. So if there's anything we can do to help you, and of course, every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m., we're live on TikTok with a simulcast here on YouTube. Certainly join in that cruise chat. That's always a lot of fun. And then every Thursday night, we're back here. Now, next Thursday, we do not have a guest yet, but on September 14th, mark this one down, Oceania is going to be joining us. So Oceania is a very interesting cruise line. Viking, Celebrity, Princess, they're kind of like the luxury of the mainstream. Then you have Regent, Seabourn, Silver Sea, Viking. You got ultra luxury up there. Oceania is like right in the middle, right between them. So elevated above, the other guys, a lot more inclusion. And one of the big things that they do is they include the airfare from 50 cities in the United States, even flying all the way to Europe, flying down to Australia. A really interesting cruise line, Oceania. We've been starting to promote them more and more with our clients. And in some cases, we're putting them right against Celebrity. We're putting them right against Princess, because once you add the airfare, all of a sudden, like all things being equal, and all the restaurants are included, the Wi-Fi is included. You may get like some, almost like concierge services and things like that. Shore excursions up to $1,200 are included. So Oceania, very interesting cruise line. They're going to be right here on Thursday, September 14th. So certainly mark that down. And like I said, Sunday, come join us over on TikTok. And then next Thursday, it might just be me and Rebecca back here talking. So folks, we thank you so very much for your support. Thanks for coming to hang out with us on a Thursday night. So you guys all have an amazing evening, and we'll see you Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.